We are so close to the finish line on the S13. I'm hoping this is the video where we can actually go and drive it. First, I have great news, and then I have not so good news, also known as bad news. Let's start with the good news, because personally, I think that's more fun. Oh, she fires right up. That's not the good news, it gets better. What is the good news, though, is that if we pop the radiator cap, you can see, well, okay, I guess you really can't see. There you go, look at that! We have coolant in the car! But wait, the news gets even better. You might remember from the last episode, we got the engine running great, which blew my mind, that exceeded my expectations, but we couldn't actually let the engine run for more than like 3 to 5 minutes because of that power steering hose situation. It would squirt power steering fluid everywhere, so I had to remove the belt to the power steering pump because I didn't want to run it dry. That belt also connected to the water pump, so if I'm not running the power steering pump, I can't run the water pump either, which means no water or coolant circulating in the engine. Just as big of a concern as oil leaks were for the fresh rebuild of this engine, coolant leaks are the same. I was fairly sure that once we finally got coolant in the car and we let it actually run and get up to temp, we'd be finding some coolant leaks. Guess what? So first of all, I fixed that power steering hose situation so that pump is running. You can see that is our water pump. We got the clutch fan spinning. That's the power steering pump. That is spinning as well. And the good, if not great news that I've been leading to this entire intro is the car, as you can see, is up to temp. We have the heater on. It's blowing nice and hot. That means we have coolant circulating through the engine. She sounds absolutely amazing. The great news is that we do not leak a drop of coolant anywhere. We are absolutely as dry as we could possibly be, except for that. And that brings us into the bad news. When I finally fixed all the power steering hose issues that were just spraying ATF everywhere, I thought I fixed the power steering leaks. It wasn't until replacing everything that I still saw a puddle of power steering fluid on the ground. So I started looking under the car, and I see how all of this is still super wet. Should I touch that and see what happens? So I went through and I tightened all of the fittings because I thought it might be coming from there. And sure enough, it is not coming from there. I'll just go ahead and dry this all up for a quick second. And if you look closely, right there, sure enough, you can see it seeping out from the top there. And if I just let the car sit, eventually it'll drip all the way down and start making a big old puddle. Okay, so what do we do about that? Well, we have a couple options. Option number one is nothing. It's a very minor power steering leak, and I think most people would just leave it and keep topping off their power steering reservoir. Or option two is we get a new rack and pinion. Hooray! Option three is you actually can rebuild steering racks. I have friends that do them, but being the fact I haven't done that before, and we just went through all this effort of completely rebuilding this engine from the ground up, I just wanted a fresh steering rack. There she is. Okay, so we need to drain all of our fluid, and we're gonna hope that this makes it into the little bin I have underneath it. Oh yeah, there we go. Yeah, that works. And now we gotta disconnect the steering column, which I believe is these two 12 millimeters. We just gotta be able to slide that column around so we can get the rack out. And then I know we just got all of our suspension stuff adjusted. We did the knuckles. Luckily, I didn't fully tighten the outer tie rods. I don't know if you guys remember, I was planning on getting an alignment a couple days ago, but then I found out the rack was blown, and I'm glad I didn't, because we're gonna need a new alignment after the new rack too. My God. Wow, really? Okay. That one came right out. And so did that one. god, ah, it's all my eyes! And then we got our little brackets. Okay. And now we kind of just wiggle her out. And it's never exactly easy. Oh, there it is. So, out with the old and in with the new. I had to do this exact same thing on the S14. The S14 steering rack was like, it was leaking a lot more. This was pretty minor compared. Like the S14, the boots would just like fill up with fluid. Our leak on this one is just from the seal up here, but again, I'd rather just go new. Could be fun to buy the rebuild kit and try to learn how to rebuild this one. Regardless though, just gonna do the reverse to get that one back to where it belongs. And then we gotta swap out the inner tie rods because we got the extended inners compared to those. You can see the length difference. This has me cracking up as I'm editing it because I'm pointing out this length difference, which we'll get to later in this video. There is no length difference, and it's very easy for me to see this now looking back on it, but I literally pointed out, oh, there's a length difference, and they're the same length. More on that later though. We're literally undoing, I did a whole video dedicated to like the suspension work on this thing, and we're undoing everything and then redoing it on the new rack and pinion. And then these little bushings on the S14, they had dissolved. They were nothing. These ones are like still in existence, although they are deteriorating pretty bad on that side. I would say these are fully reusable, but I sort of thought they'd be done. So I got the same ones I got for the S14, which are these like poly rack and pinion bushings. So we're gonna throw those in. So that one's gonna go there. This one is gonna go, there we go, just like that. First we gotta center the steering rack. So I put tape on the splines to hopefully not damage them. And we are going to twist until we reach full lock in one direction. Okay, so that's full lock. So I'm marking full lock right there. And now I count the number of turns until we reach full lock on the other side. So that's 1 full turn. That's 2 full turns. That's 3 full turns. Okay, so it's 3, that's a quarter, that's a half. I'd say that's like 5/8. So 3 and 5/8 rotations. We divide that by 2. Let's say it's 3.4. You know, let's not say it's 3.4 because 3 and 5/8 is not, in fact, 3.4, which looking back on this, that explains why my math was wrong. But again, more on that later. So we divide that by 2. Half of that is 1.7. So what we do is we are marking full lock over here. We are going 1 full rotation. There's 1, and then we're kind of eyeballing 0.7, so there's a quarter. Honestly, I'd say it's right there. So now, in theory, the rack is centered. Yeah, it's not. You can literally see that it's not, but again, I figured this out eventually. We can take off that tape and put her back in. And now pretty much just the reverse of getting it out. Okay, that was actually way easier. Yeah. That's in already, huh? Alright, it's in. Alright, so now, this is the old rack. We're gonna take the inner and outer tie rods because we need those. By the way, the homie Doug is here. So he's going ahead and tightening all of those high pressure and low pressure lines. And then we gotta pull the outer tie rods that came with the rack and pinion. And then just toss this assembly on. There's 2. And then here is the old rack that I think I'll just keep, and I have a pile with my other S14 blown rack too, that maybe I just buy a rebuild kit and get some practice in and learn how to rebuild these, because that'd be cool. But in the meantime, it's going in the projects for later pile. You're able to tell when I get frustrated when I just stop filming. And we were battling a rough alignment for far too long. Even though I centered the rack, which we now know that I didn't center the rack correctly. I was getting a different amount of rotation on the steering wheel to get to full lock one way versus the other way, and then we realized that the inner tie rods weren't long enough because the outer tie rods weren't lining up. I didn't film any of this because I was just getting frustrated, and what should have been a 30-45 minute job took hours. Eventually we figured it out, which I'll talk about in a sec, but then we just started mounting the transmission and drive shaft and all of that. I didn't film anything, I just set up a camera on a tripod for a time lapse. I gotta get into the habit of not just going mute when I'm frustrated, but now you're roughly caught up, let's talk about it. Good morning! It's the next day now. Let's talk about what happened yesterday. Yesterday was just one of those days that was just really frustrating. So, where we are currently is we have the new rack and pinion installed, and as you can see, there are no outer tie rods or inner tie rods anywhere in sight. It is just the rack and pinion. Gonna get to that in a sec. We have the transmission bolted up, which is huge. I've been wanting to get that in for a while now. Transmission is in, fully bolted up and torqued. Also, the drive shaft is in. Unfortunately, I did have to use the stock two-piece drive shaft that came with the car. I had my S14 single-piece drive shaft that when I set them next to each other, I thought they were the same length. But sure enough, I went to go toss that in, and it was just like a 1/4 inch too long, and it wouldn't fit on the diff. Oh yeah, the hardware is right there. So it's not bolted in yet. So we are running the stock two-piece drive shaft, which is whatever. I'll probably upgrade that at some point. The drive line's pretty much in. Like once I actually bolt the drive shaft up, technically the car would be drivable, except for our stupid tie rod situation. A little bit of backstory, and I want to try to make this quick because we do still have some stuff to do to the car today. In order to run B-knuckle, which is the modified knuckle that we have a very custom paint job on, in order to run B-knuckle on an S13, you need to run extended S14 inner tie rods and stock S14 outer tie rods. You can see here, these are S14 inner tie rods, these are S13 inner tie rods. You can see how the S14 is literally just a thicker diameter. So it's a really common upgrade to just even run stock S14 inner tie rods on an S13 just because they're beefier and stronger. But again, for B-knuckle, if you're on stock LCAs, you need an extended inner tie rod. Sorry, I'm already making this longer than it needs to be. Long story short, my homie recommended buying the Parts Shop Max extended S14 inner tie rods. He sent me a link to them and everything. We have a text chain about it. Right there is the link. Extended inner tie rods for S14. When I click on that, it takes me to this website, Parts Shop Max. I've ordered from them before. I've ordered this exact product before from Parts Shop Max for the S14. The reason I'm emphasizing that is because I swear that I clicked that link and I bought those extended tie rods that he sent me. Now, just really quickly, take a look at those tie rods. They are black, right? And if we get a different picture here, it's kind of hard to see, but there's a rack spacer right there that's actually built into the tie rod. It's not a separate piece. When I opened my box from Parts Shop Max, this is what I got. First of all, they are silver and they are not black. And second of all, the rack spacer is separate. It's not one piece. And I guess my brain was just on autopilot. Like I think I was filming a video when I installed the tie rod, so I didn't even bother looking at anything. I kind of saw it and was like, oh, whatever. Maybe they changed something, who knows. Then, yesterday, when I just stopped filming because I was getting frustrated, first of all, we were having a ton of issues with that rack and pinion. More on that in a sec. Sorry, this is turning into a longer story than I expected. We were trying to get a decent, base alignment on the front wheels, and we were running into the outer tie rods just wouldn't make it to the knuckle. Inner tie rod connects to that, outer tie rod connects to that. We'd be loosening that outer tie rod to make it fit in the knuckle there, and then we just loosen it straight off the thread, which means the inner tie rods were too short. But I'm like, no, I know for a fact I ordered the right ones. I bought them from Parts Shop Max. I've used them before. Then I'm like, okay, like Parts Shop Max sent me the wrong thing. I call Julian, who's my homie that sent me the Parts Shop Max link, and I was like, yo, is this like right? Something feels off here. And he's like, dude, those don't even look like the Parts Shop Max inner tie rods. They're a different color. The spacer's not one piece. He's like, check your email and see like what you actually ordered. So I type in Parts Shop Max in my email, and the last order from them was like 2 years ago when I bought them for the S14. So now I'm just confused because I have like a vivid memory of clicking that link and buying the right thing, but I guess I didn't do that. So then I search in my email, I just search into inner tie rod to see where I ordered them from. And an Njuku order came up that I just ordered stock S14 inner tie rods from Enjuku Racing, a completely different website, different product, and I have no idea why I did that. I have no memory of doing that. I don't know, I bought the wrong thing. I was getting ready to go complain to Part Shop Max, like, you guys sent me the wrong thing. I'm literally just an idiot. Because finally, I had the smart idea to take off the extended inner tie rod and compare it to my stock one. Doesn't look very extended to me, does it? That is the same exact length. The only difference is the diameter of it, because that is a stock S13 inner tie rod, that is a stock S14 inner tie rod. I'm just an idiot. My brain was just not functioning right. And then, oh God, don't even get me started on the whole rack and pinion thing, which is what sent me over the edge. You guys watched me center the rack and pinion on the ground. You rotate it all the way to full lock on one side, all the way to the other, count the number of rotations, divide that by 2, and that's your center point. To be fair, in the YouTube video, my math was wrong, but part of what was so frustrating yesterday was off camera, we pulled that rack and pinion like 3 different times. Take it out, recenter it, put it back in. Doug was in the car making sure the steering wheel didn't move, because I thought maybe when I put it up and I connected, the wheel's moving. He works on cars for a living. He's not an idiot. And even he was like, dude, I did a rack and pinion yesterday. Why is this not working? Again, long story short, we recentered that rack and pinion like 4 times. And the issue that we were running into, I gotta get in the car here. When the rack is centered, it should be the same amount of rotations in one direction to full lock as it is the same amount of rotations to the other direction to full lock. And what kept happening is we'd go like 1 3/4, 2 on one side. And then you'd take it the other way, back to center, and you'd go 1 1/4 this way, and you're at full lock. And like Doug and I both felt like we were going insane, because we were centering this steering rack on the ground, double checking our math, making sure I didn't do a stupid mistake like I did on camera. He'd verify for me like it's all good. We'd put it in the car, and it'd be way off. I think the only logical explanation is that we were both just tired, like it was a long day. I came down here this morning before filming this, and I just did one last sanity check. I didn't even pull it this time. I realized I could do it with the rack and pinion in the car. Went all the way to one side, marked it, went all the way to the other side, marked it, divided by 2, found that middle point, put it there. I also measured, this length to this length, because I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be symmetrical, and sure enough, that is equal. I redid my math with the rotations, and I was like, okay, if this doesn't work, then like I am completely lost. And sure enough, 1 rotation, 1 1/4, 1 1/2, 1 3/4, little over 1 3/4, right? Bring it all the way back to center. We have 1 1/4, 1 1/2, 1 3/4, little over 1 3/4. So the rack is now centered. Why it worked perfectly first thing this morning, and neither me nor Doug could figure it out yesterday after 4 hours of trying, I couldn't tell you. Again, it must have just been one of those days where both of our brains just weren't working right and we were making a stupid mistake. But I was getting so frustrated. That being said though, there are 3 things that I want to do today that are pretty much the last things we need to get this car driving, with the exception of waiting for my new tie rods to come in. You might have seen this box. We got a nice new radiator for the S13. I run a Koyo in the S14 as well, pretty much the go-to radiator. Just a bigger aluminum radiator. I want to get that installed today. Second thing, who put that there? Surprisingly enough, the hood latch cable does still work, despite looking like that. But you will see that the previous owner, did indeed rub through the harness there, and there is a bit of exposed wire, which I do not like at all. So I want to actually properly tuck this harness up here, like how I did on the S14, just to keep it out of the wheel wells, especially because I'm running 18s. Oh, I don't even think I told you guys about these, did I? These are the stocks that the S13... Dude, I gotta stop kicking over stuff. The car came with these. My good homie Hunter is letting me borrow these Graham lights. He had an extra set lying around, and he's letting me borrow those so I can actually get the car running and driving, and then said if I want to buy them, I can do that as well. So I might do that. We need to better tuck this harness and the hood latch cable. Same thing on this side too. It's like someone tried, they like zip tied it, but it needs to be up here, not in the wheel well still. And then lastly, I want to get the hood on. I guess while we're at it, we can actually put the front fenders on, we can put the rear overs on, and we can put the hood on. And really, that is it. So those 3 things are going to be our goal for today. Shouldn't take too long. Let's start with the radiator. I don't love that hole, I just noticed that. Oh, I did this last time. Damn it. Okay, here's the radiator. Okay. There she is. I forget that Koyos don't come with a radiator cap, and they use a special, like, higher pressure cap, I believe. I did the exact same thing with the S14. I bought the Koyo radiator. I was like, wait, they forgot to send a cap. And I found out you gotta buy it separate. Of course, I just did that again. So I gotta order a cap. That is all getting drained, and then we're honestly gonna have to remove all at the front again. Honestly, I forget if we have to take off the fan shroud and everything. We might just be able to get away with intake. We'll see. Go. Alright. I mean, like, half of these, like, old brittle clips are broken, so things do just kind of come out. I think that was supposed to be connected to multiple things. Fan. Okay, that came out super easy. Then we just gotta steal these things like that. And then I think that that shield is just gonna bolt on to here, just like it is on that one. All right. I'm not gonna lie, I've never ran this plastic piece on the Koyo before, but I mean, like, the screw hole is lined up. I guess we'll see if it works. It's a way thicker radiator. Oh yeah, there she goes. Okay. I love when things line up. And then we can put this back. I will say, the intake definitely still needs some modifications. Now that the radiator is thicker, this doesn't actually align with that tab there, and it's actually pushing really heavily on this shroud to the point, oh, never mind. I was gonna say to the point where the fan was actually hitting the shroud, but it's not, it's just really close. But you remember, I mean, there's still like open ports that are just taped right now, so I gotta weld this. It's just, I'm pretty sure it's aluminum. I have my aluminum TIG machine over there, I just don't have the practice yet. So this will be my trial. This little nipple's getting in the way, so I think I'm gonna chop that nipple off and then weld that shut so that the whole intake can go in a little bit further so that that can rest on that, so that's not pushing on that. So that intake needs work, but it does run as of now. And then, of course, there's supposed to be a strap that holds the radiator to the core support here, but both of those bolts actually broke, so I gotta get those out. And then did it come with the straps, or did I get the car without them? Maybe I never had those. I can make some. Anyway though, the new Koyo radiator is in. I gotta get coolant to bleed it later. Now, let's work on this monstrosity. This might actually be really straightforward. I'm just cutting all the weird zip tie stuff they did. I was a bit afraid of this. You can see there's a butt splice in there. There's a lot of butt splices. There's multiple butt splices in there. So this harness was severed a couple times, it looks like, and then people replaced it and still didn't tuck it properly. But then look at this. That is exposed wire right there, which is not good. It's not good at all, actually. So I think, because what I was gonna do, I was just gonna yank this thing up here, and you just zip tie it up there, and they sell like a little plate that you can put here so your wheel doesn't rub it. I'm just gonna like raise the front. But we might actually have to do a little bit more in-depth surgery here. I need to get in here. Okay, so this all looks factory, but it's over here that's all been messed with. Bro, I absolutely hate wiring. And look at this. Looks like all of these were severed and repaired. I guess realistically, it's only 3 butt splices together wrapped in sketchy electrical tape. I just don't love fire hazards. That's Talk about some 240 activities. The deeper I get into this harness, the worse it gets. Nothing terrible, obviously. These can legit just get severed from rubbing. But I guess clearly this one did. I already showed you guys all the butt splices up there. I'm exposing all of these wires, and it looks like they were severed and then repaired with the wrong way. Like, it looks like they were literally just electrical taped together, and then they were severed again. Like, that is exposed. That's fully exposed. These two are melted together, which is a huge risk for shorting, you know, at some point. So the right way to do this, realistically, is fully remove all of this electrical tape, whatever it is, cut out all of the damaged wires, use butt splices and heat shrink and actually do it properly. What I'm gonna do is a step below that. I'm gonna, oh dude, that one's so sketch. See that red, the one like behind or in front of the purple wire? That one's literally just hanging on by the metal. I'm gonna isolate any exposed wire, wrap it in electrical tape, rewrap this whole thing in electrical tape so there's no chance of any shorts anywhere, and then properly tuck it up there so it's away from the wheel. And then if I ever get bored and look for an electrical project in the future, I can go ahead and fix it the right way. Well, it ain't pretty, but it is tucked. It looks just as ghetto. Most importantly, I went through, there was like 4 wires that had been like completely exposed, and I wouldn't be surprised if they were already shorting. All of that electrical tape is all new, and then the individual wires that had been severed or damaged were also wrapped. So I'm feeling a lot better about the actual harness situation inside of there. And then, I mean, tucking wise, you can see just how much higher the harness sits now. Before, it was literally under this lip, so it was down like in there. So it is much higher now and out of the way. I don't think I'm gonna get this fender on. I don't think I'll get either of the fenders on though, because I'm running 18s in the front. It rubbing right there is still an issue. You can see it has rubbed at some point from the previous owner. So I still gotta like adjust my coilover height and see if I have to fab up a little blockade there, because you can see I'm at full lock that way, and that's with the car in the air right now. Like if the car were actually on the ground, that might already be touching. So I'm gonna have to monitor that, possibly raise the car more, but we'll see. Now on the other side, I found some ingenious engineering that the Nissan techs really need to take note of. Look at this beautiful contraption that I stumbled across. It looks like an old Sprite can that has been zip tied to the harness as opposed to actually tucking it the proper way. And it looks like that's supposed to act as a sort of shield, which again, just perfect. Slightly nervous to see what it looks like under the Sprite can. And, oh, really? Oh, I see exposed wire. Ah, yeah, okay, we're gonna have to do the exact same thing. Gonna have to split all this open and fix the exposed wires. And there we go. Did the exact same thing over here. I ended up actually cutting and cutting a little section out of there and hammering the corners up so that harness could tuck right up against there. Toss some primer on there to help inhibit the rust. Same as the other side, I also repaired all of the exposed wiring. But yeah, that is a bit more tucked, and I'm a lot happier with that. Again, it's not pretty with the zip ties, but that'll all be covered by the fenders. So there we go. I think I'm gonna do the hood later because we still have the hood, the fenders. I got the side skirts that I actually have to repair because they're broken. Got them for super cheap on Marketplace. I say we made good progress. I've been procrastinating that whole wire tuck for a really long time, so I'm happy I got that done. And then obviously the coil's installed. I already ordered the radiator cap, so that's just kind of chilling there for now. Finally though, I can at least pretty confidently say now that the next video on this channel will be actually driving this thing for the first time. As long as the tie rods come in, which as of now it says they're supposed to this week, and that radiator cap also this week. In theory, and I may very well take this back because something else can pop up, in theory, next video, the S13 will be done. And I use that lightly because then it comes down to cosmetic stuff. Which, I mean, that is a whole nother story. But we're gonna cross that bridge when we get there. Driving this thing is the #1 priority. This video is kind of all over the place, as my brain is as well. Pretty typical, but I want to thank you guys, as always, for for watching. The support and growth on this channel has been phenomenal, and I can't say thank you enough. Appreciate you all. Catch you next video for the, again, hopefully be able to take this out on the road. So catch you guys next video. Peace out.